Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and this is kind of an just off the cuff audio rant. I was on Twitter a little bit ago, and I came across this thread by a writer in Hollywood about The Last Jedi and about the Holdo maneuver and how everyone likes to talk a lot of crap about it and everything. And I read through it, and I kind of get what he's talking about here. He's referring to the physics in space, and he's referring to the physics in Star Wars, and how they clearly don't match up, and all these things. I get it. Right? He was defending the maneuver, and I get it. Fine. But then at the end of it, at the end of his screed, I simply just responded with, it should have been Ackbar. Because it should have been General or Admiral Ackbar. It should have been Ackbar. And someone responded back with, but no, the emotional resonance of Holdo's sacrifice. And that just kind of pissed me off. Because how in the hell, and I mean, as a writer, as a story watcher, as a person who loves all this stuff, how in the hell, how in God's name are we to watch something like The Last Jedi and get 15 minutes of Laura Dern as Admiral Holdo and have this emotional resonance with the character who was originally portrayed as an inept villain, maybe not a villain, but just an inept person who didn't know the gravity of what was going on and was trying to keep Poe out because, of feminism. And like that was how she was perceived in the beginning of the film. At the end, we're like, oh no, she was just Leia's really good friend who apparently was force sensitive. Okay, fine, whatever. And then she did this maneuver and it was cool. I like the maneuver. I don't care what anyone says, but it should have been Ackbar. And I don't think anyone's going to really argue with me on that point. It should have been Admiral Ackbar. The man who has been a staple, not only in the rebellion, but the Mon Calamari sustained his position, continued fighting the good fight for an additional 30 plus years, going into the resistance. Admiral Ackbar knew when to pick up and fight for what is right. That is the character. That is the character. By having him appear in The Force Awakens and having him appear in The Last Jedi, it shows you the longevity of the character, and he should have 100% been treated better. And the truth of the matter is, he died a meme. He did. He died a meme. Now, you can look at that as both a good and a bad thing. I look at it in this particular context as being a bad thing, because had he died by sacrificing himself, he still would have died ultimately a meme, but not been as disrespected, not been disrespected at all. It would have been a great closeout to the character. It would have been a great closeout to 30 years of people who really do like Admiral Ackbar. Yes, those of us on the internet who love to share memes and joke around, love to say, that's a trap, it's a trap, right? We all love it. It's funny, but it's never said with any kind of malice. It's never said with any kind of disrespect. When people who are Star Wars fans say it's a trap, we say it with love. We say it because we know that moment in Empire or Return of the Jedi. We know that moment very, very, very well. We know that whole movie. We know the original trilogy. We know the saga, and we love it. So we say it with love. Having him die in that fashion, not with a bang, but with a whimper, was just the most egregious thing I think Rian Johnson did in that movie. And a year and a half later, I'm still very frustrated with it. I'm still very angry with it because it was so disrespectful and so lackluster in writing. And it's one of the things that will forever just haunt the Star Wars franchise. Like The Last Jedi will be the movie that ultimately just haunts the franchise. And we're living in the moment to where we're going to figure out if it's done irreparable damage. And now most people focus on Leia and they focus on Luke, and I get that. But really, if you think about it, they at least got some damn screen time. They at least got some form of character development. Something. Ackbar went out like a punk ass bitch. Rian Johnson didn't care. And you know how you know you didn't care? And this is probably the most terribly egregious thing of it all. Was Tim Rose, the actor who had been playing Ackbar in the costume. He was playing him again in The Last Jedi. They went back and they got the original actor. And when it was over, he died and he wasn't happy about it. So then this is what he says, and I'm reading this off verbatim. He says, they asked me to come down to the camera. And I thought, oh, well, maybe they're going to say thank you for being one of the heritage characters and giving 30 years and all that, being all that, because that's what Lucas would do. That's what JJ would do. I think that's what anyone with half a goddamn brain, when looking at legacy characters and actors that have been around for 30 years, they would applaud the actor. You know what? When I've been on movies, and this is just me kind of going off in a sandbox here, when I've been on projects and whatnot, we have an actor coming on board and the actor wraps out for the day. We generally applaud them. We say, hey, thank you very much for the work. And you remind them that they're part of something bigger. And you figure they would have done that here, but no. But what they did, yeah, back to him. He says, but what they did is they gave me a Millennium Falcon sign that had the day and date on it and the scene number. And they said, can you look in the camera and say it's a wrap? Because that would be really funny. Yeah, it would be funny. It would be really funny if he did the maneuver and took out the dreadnought in the process, because then at least he's going out on his terms and he's going out in a way that fans would be cheering, because that would be the sacrifice. I'm just saying, like, no matter what, that's still in my mind the most egregious, because it goes on. He says here, I was actually in tears in the suit because after everything, after hoping there'd be something, after knowing there wasn't going to be anything else, Ackbar's final moment before he went into the box was just a big joke about it's a wrap. I disappeared down the back and couldn't come out for a good 30 minutes. Man, that's more upsetting. That's more upsetting if you think about it. He was hoping for more. It goes to show you ultimately how disrespectful Johnson's been to the franchise, how he just didn't care. This was a job to him. And it boggles my mind that anyone at this point in time can look at this and still defend it, can still defend a lot in that movie. Like I said, there's good direction, I think. I want to be fair here. But as for Ackbar himself, man, that pissed me off. It's another thing that people are trying to defend. Like, oh, no, Holdo was such a better character. No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't, because we were told to think all these things about her that we never got to see. We never maybe got to see them with Ackbar in regards to like the movies, but there was Ackbar in the animated shows, and there was Ackbar in the games. There was a lot more Ackbar than a lot more Holdo, and over 30 years, almost 40 years even, of having this particular character being around, people grew to love them. It was a fan favorite character. And instead of giving us a little fan service, which by the way goes a real long way, all Johnson did is just further show in that moment how cold and callous and uncaring he is in regards to handling this stuff. You cannot read a passage like that from the actor who spent 30 years playing the character, even though there was a big gap in the middle, and not just have utter contempt for Johnson. Now, I really wonder if JJ is going to address this. I really wonder if JJ is going to go back and look at that part and go, fans, we're not happy about that. Let's address it. Let's at least give him some kind of closure, because there wasn't even any closure on Han Solo. Again, The Last Jedi is an utter, to quote Vito, it's a cinematic failure on every conceivable, potential, possible angle. It is such a cinematic failure. But Ackbar himself died a meme. And he died a meme not because a fan of the character wrote his exit and gave him the deserving hero exit that he deserved. But instead, he went out like a blink of an eye. Like the meme didn't count. Like the meme didn't matter. That over decades and decades and decades of fan favoritism on this character, loving this character, it meant nothing. It meant absolutely nothing. And that is it's so bad. It's so damn bad. And that, of course, my friends, is just where we find ourselves. Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy. No one at Lucasfilm thought to themselves, hey, maybe people like this guy. Maybe the fact that there's toys of him. Maybe the fact that people take, and you can see it some of the slideshow images here. These are some of the images I grabbed, were people taking very nice photography of Admiral Ackbar toys, right? He's got a Lego figure. He's got action figures. Have you seen any Lego Holdo? Probably there might be one. I think there might be a Holdo action figure that is going to end up in the damn bargain bin of the discounted Toys R Us. You're going to find all the old Holdo toys up inside the rafters of old rundown Toys R Us's because they're gone. There's fan art of him. You see on the screen right there. There's all sorts of things people have done because it's a trap. has resonated throughout multiple decades and resonated with multiple fans. Ackbar died a meme. And that's unfortunate because he deserved better. Star Wars fans deserved better. And it's a crap, I think, is the perfect summarization for The Last Jedi. But leave your thoughts below. I'm curious. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. And may the Force be with you always.